Hello and welcome to Ben and Nate's Questions That We Ask People on the Internet. I am one half of your host, Nathan Fay. I'm a licensed massage therapist, osteopathic manual therapist, and when I'm not in my practice up here in New England, I'm on the road teaching myoskeletal alignment techniques, and I'm here with my good buddy and my co-host.
My name is Ben Stone, your other co-host. I've been doing massage therapy for over 20 years. I have a plethora of experience in all kinds of things massage and bodywork related, and I am so excited to share anything and everything that I can that may help you out or just entertain you. So here we are making this show, and we do this show called Ben and Nate's Questions We Ask People on the Internet. Tell everybody how this works quickly, Nate.
Ben, I think it's a pretty amazing concept, if I do say so myself. What we do on a fairly regular basis is we pose questions on the internets, the World Wide Web, the WWWs about the massage industry. We have 20, 40 years of combined experience, and we have questions for you, the listener. We want you to respond to them. And 2 to 3 times a month, Ben and I get together, we record the show, we pick out some of our favorite responses, and we develop these amazing educational podcasts for you.
And I tell you what, it doesn't matter if you are a massage therapist or not. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let us know on our Facebook page called Ben and Nate's Questions We Ask People on the Internet. So how you been, Nate? What's new?
I've been good, man. We got together last week, you and I, and had a great chat about essentials for new massage therapists, and it seems like it was a fast and furious week. Let's see, nothing too exciting. Holidays are around the corner, right? Everyone's getting ready for their turkey, but it's been a good week at the old practice. How about you?
Yeah, it seems like once again we're in that middle ground where it's just kind of the I'm gonna call it the grind. You know, we got couple more weeks till we get some time off for the holidays, and so in the meantime we just try to make up a little bit of time so that we can take time off, because as self-employed people we rarely get paid vacations.
Yeah, it's a weird time of year, and I'm sure for your schedule and for many listening, it's to have the November and December. For those of you that celebrate Christmas, right? Christmas Eve, Christmas is like in the middle of the week. New Year's Eve, New Year's is in the middle of the week. So it creates a little bit of a conundrum. And I've been looking at my days off, and plus we're going to Costa Rica with the Dalton gang for a week. So basically, Ben, that means I'm going to be in my practice. This is going to be the shortest December ever. I think I'm only going to be in my practice like barely 2.5 weeks, which
Yeah.
is, and I don't know about you when you get into these situations, but do you just overbook yourself until then, or do you just stick to your guns and book people out?
It depends on who Ben was a month ago. If Ben a month ago is freaking out, then he starts to try to overbook things, and I try to, and then the Ben of today looks back at the Ben a month ago and says, "What did you do to me?"
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I like to thank future Nate, and sometimes I like to get kind of mad at, future or past Nate.
Yeah.
So right now I'm not really too happy with past and future Nate.
Yeah. Well, we've got a question that we ask people on the internet today, and I always like to lead us in with a little bit of a story or a joke or something like that. So I want to ask you, are you familiar with deadheads?
As in like the Grateful Dead deadheads, or like
You
the I'm
got it.
flying on an airplane. Okay, got it.
Grateful Dead fans. Yeah.
All right.
So
Yes, I am.
here's a question, since we already defined the deadheads that we're talking about. How many deadheads does it take to change a light bulb?
Ben, how many deadheads does it take to change a light bulb?
I mean, nobody knows because they wait for it to burn out and then just follow it around for like 20 years.
Amazing.
So yeah, you have to know a little bit of history about the Grateful Dead, but I know Nate's a music fan, so he gets it.
I was never a Grateful Dead guy.
Same.
I never got it. I mean, there's a couple good songs. I mean, when they kind of had their like little, MTV video Touch of Grey, that was a good song.
Yeah.
Friend of the Devil's a pretty good song. I'm a huge John Mayer fan. And of course, this whole Dead and Company with John Mayer playing sort of opened my ears a little bit, but it's because I love John Mayer's guitar playing so much. So anyway,
I mean, I love the tie-dyed shirts with the bears and everything, but yeah,
right.
yeah. So,
I get
so
it.
that
I
leads
get
us
it.
in to our question for this week.
So are
And
we talking about Deadheads, or are we talking about what are we talking about?
yeah, what are we talking about? We asked a question, and our question to our listeners is, how can massage therapists prevent burnout in the profession? So burnout meaning physical, financial, and emotional and spiritual burnout.
Another rock'em sock'em question, that's for sure. And takes me back right away to the early days of massage school and people just telling me, man, you're only going to be in this career for 10 years. Right. And there was always this thing, beware of burnout, beware of burnout. And yeah. So does it happen?
Yeah, does it happen? Has it happened to you?
I think we're all human. And I think that I think probably every career has right a level of burnout, right? People get into careers that they just have to earn that paycheck and it's all they can do, right? And there's that sort of zombie, you're just in zombie land doing it. And then you get into something that you really love, but like everything else, can it become tedious? Can it become mundane? And you asked me, has it happened to me? And it's definitely happened to me, right? But you also have to, or I also, because I love our field so much, you have to find ways to sort of overcome those moments, but it can definitely happen. Absolutely. And I've experienced probably, I'm sure maybe more than a few times, but I've definitely experienced it at least a few times over the course of my career.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about is how do you overcome those periods of time where you're feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
I remember a statistic I gleaned off of AMTA long time ago. This has probably been 2008, 2010-ish, and they claimed that the average career expectancy of a massage therapist was about 6 years.
Well, so you and I are at this point almost four times that.
Yeah,
And I know some of our listeners are too. So kudos to many of you out there that are beyond the 6 year mark at this point. That's a low number, man.
I tell
That's
you what,
terrible.
if I would have known that going into massage school, I may have rethought going into this career. But also, that was, 14 years ago. I tend to believe that that number is even lower now. And I attribute that a lot to what we're talking about today, and that's burnout.
Wow. I'm still sitting here sort of in shock and awe over that low number. In my travels over the past 4 years and interacting with a lot of massage therapists and seminar classes, I like to ask, how long have people been a massage therapist? And for the most part, I can say in like my own little bubble of doing that, I do get a lot of people that are in the 10-year plus category. I've seen plenty of people in the 20-year, 30-year plus category. And certainly for the therapists that are just starting out, a year to 5 years, I always say, look to those people for inspiration. That can be done. Don't believe the hype.
Yeah, and I think we're going to talk about why those people are coming to your class in a little bit. There's
I'm
another
sure we are.
statistic that AMTA shared with me that, man, I think this one was a couple years later, 2012, and I don't may not have this exactly right, but I'm going to paraphrase because it was so long ago. But they also mentioned how many massage therapists are happy with the number of massages they do in a week. And they claimed that about 60% were not happy with the amount of massage work they were doing in a week. And then I have seen subsequent reports from the AMTA that that number has gone down a little bit. It's at about 50-50 right now. Um, so also another statistic about small businesses is uh, over 50% of small businesses fail within the first 2 years. And so
Yeah,
massage therapists could be considered a small business. And then the ones
absolutely.
that do survive past those 2 years, that make it to maybe 5 years or potentially even 10 years, are not even profitable. So that's something to think about too. And that's all the things we're going to get into when we talk about burnout, because that's financial burnout, emotional burnout, because if you're not making money, man, is it worth it?
Right,
But I
right.
think the first part of our question was, the physical burnout. So I think maybe we start there, like talking about how we can prevent burnout in the category of physical burnout. What say you, Nate?
Well, it's a physical job, right? And we're working with our own bodies all day, and we're working on people of all shapes and sizes and walks of life. So the physical burnout, and again, we've talked about this time and time again, right? Massages change, right? How the no pain, no gain attitude to, how we should, fundamentally apply our techniques on somebody, right? So that's changed a lot. I think therapists that were probably jamming their thumbs and their fingers and their elbows and leaning over the table and probably doing all that stuff and not necessarily having the physical stamina to do that all day. So I think that could probably be a physical, an element of physical burnout. So massage therapists that are probably not understanding how to not only use their bodies in the correct way, but also applying techniques in a probably a pretty poor manner.
Yeah, so would you call that probably optimizing body mechanics would help prevent physical burnout?
Yeah, definitely. Optimizing your own body. And just as a side note, sometimes when I like coach massage therapists, right? One of that tell me that they're having, low back pain or mid back pain, I invite them to film themselves performing a session. And then we like watch that video together, and we can point out, hey, check it out. You kind of look like a Tyrannosaurus Rex the whole time that you're working on that person, or point out some of those flaws that are perhaps contributing to some of their own issues.
I love that. That sounds fantastic. And even someone themselves without a coach could film themselves and just watch themselves
Just
work.
watch themselves. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you can learn a lot by
Absolutely.
that.
Sure can. And I'll tell you, the other thing that I'm probably the most passionate about, if I was to put this in a category of like number one and number two, the number one thing that I think I'm most passionate about is the use of a hydraulic table. And I know for me personally, a hydraulic table probably not only absolutely saved my career from the early stages where I was feeling that physical burnout, but it was multifactorial. I mean, wasn't using my body right. I was applying pressure in ways that I probably shouldn't have been for my own body. But plus, people of all walks in life, you get somebody that's small stature, a large person, a muscular person, an obese person, and you're working on a stationary table, and let's face it, how much time do you really have to unbutton all those screws and dials and lift your own table up? And somebody's upper half might be stocky, their lower half might be skinny, and it's just an absolute mess. And the ability for me to raise and lower my table's almost going up and down during the whole entire session. It's just kind of like continually moving, and I'm making it work. Your table is a tool, Ben. You know that. Your table is a tool for you to use to make your work just more effective and to save yourself from physical burnout.
I can't imagine ever going back to not using an electric table.
Ah,
And I have foot pedals everywhere. like
yeah, me
I'm on,
too.
I got a foot pedal on every corner of my table.
Yeah, me too. It's funny because when I'm doing demos at seminars and stuff, and most of the time I end up you having to use a stationary table, and I'm like, whoa, in my head, I'm like, this is really hard.
We mentioned how physical massage is. It's a tough job. It's tough on our bodies. It's tough work. I do want to bring this up because I heard this and I want to discuss this with you and get your thoughts. But what's the difference between the I don't know, the physical load of what a massage therapist does and then the physicality of, say, a construction worker or someone who does, that type of work that's typically
Oh,
considered pretty tough work. I think for me, when I look at those two things, I know it's not apples to apples, but construction workers, they're working outside in the 110-degree heat. They're carrying around wheelbarrows full of bricks and what they got the hard hat on, everything. And
yep.
here I am in this nice air conditioned room, and I'm like, really? Is this that physical? It's as physical, I guess, as you want to make it. And so,
Sure.
like what you talked about, optimizing body mechanics is one way to help prevent burnout. But it's I after bringing up the difference between like a construction worker and a massage therapist. Tell me your thoughts about that. Is that a fair comparison?
It's totally fair, and it's my belief, Ben, that I'm in like a middle to lower class community. So I only bring that up because I'm not in an area that has a professional sports team. So most of my people that I work on are lay people, are desk job people, weekend warriors. So it's always my belief that every client that comes in is an athlete, right? And my job, and I think all of our jobs, is to train our clients to be the best that they can be for what they're adapting to, right? So if you have to sit on a desk all day, that's a physical job. So how can you make your body the most optimal to do that? If you're a construction worker, and I'll take what you were saying. So some of the construction guys that come in and see me, and I'll recommend things that they do at home, and they'll say, "Well, why would I do that? Because I quote unquote work out all day." Right? So in a sense, the work that you and I do, I could also say, "Well, I work out all day too," in a sense, right?
Hmm.
But you and I both know it's our job to educate our clients. Like, right, if we're using our hips, using our low back, using that ground force to help translate, some of the movements that we do, we have to train for our day too, right? So, how do you make your own body optimal to be able to go in and perform your tasks on on a daily basis?
Strength and mobility training.
Yeah, and
Just
warm up. Take that time every morning and prime your body. I get up every morning. I don't like to. I'm human too, man. I don't like to get up early, but I know for me, I have to get up, a few hours before I head to my office, and I need that 45 minutes to, do some weights, do some bands, stretch out, do some yoga, whatever the case is, to get my body sort of primed and lubed up, if you will,
yeah.
to go into my day. And I preach that stuff to my clients. And here's the thing too. I'm gonna say something. Have we ever said anything controversial on our show?
I don't think we have, but I think we should.
I think we should.
Okay. What do you got?
Well, this may or may not upset some people, but we're in an industry essentially where we're teaching people how to be, you know, better humans, whatever that is, more upright, less pain, more functional, better movement, right? And, somebody said to me a long time ago, would you want a personal trainer, training you that looked out of shape and atrophied?
Yeah, absolutely not.
And, if I showed up to a gym and was paying $100 an hour for a personal trainer that looked hunched over and atrophied, I might wonder how much expertise does this person really have? You know? So for me, that's more motivation to also try to take care of my aging self as best as possible, right? Because my clients that come in and, I had two people say to me today, Ben, two people, I just turned 40 and everything's falling apart on me. And in my head, I'm looking down the pipe of 50, right? I mean, 50, there it is. And in my head, I'm like, how can we make this better? Right. So, how can we teach people how to prevent physical burnout? That's our job.
Yeah,
It's part of our
absolutely.
job. It's part of our job.
Yeah, I love how you approach that. Training people to be to be people, whatever that
Yeah.
may be. Yeah.
Being human's hard, man.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. So then how about part of the physical part of massage maybe also could include taking care of yourself in terms of like massage, getting massage yourself. How important is that?
We got to practice what we preach. I mean, clients, I'm sure you get questioned all the time. Hey, Ben, who takes care of Ben? Right? Don't your clients say to that? Who's your guy? Who's your girl? Who does
Yeah.
Ben go see? People ask me that all the time. Nate, you take care of all these people every week. Who takes care of you? And I say, I got a guy too, and I tell him I have a person that I travel, once a month to go see.
Yep.
And they want to hear that stuff.
3 days ago for me, just
Good
went and
for
got
you.
some massage work.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So, taking care of yourself in that manner. Cause I mean, if we're preaching the good word of what manual therapy, massage therapy does, then we should know the benefits ourselves for what they should be doing for us, right?
I'm with you 100%.
Physical burnout. How about this is making me think about this. What about like we talk about niching ourselves a lot. So maybe there's like a technique platform or a modality, if you will, that's not working for your body, and how about finding, exploring what modality might work best for my body. I remember when I first got out of massage school and, although I was getting turned on to myoskeletal alignment technique, but I really didn't know much about it. I had aspirations to learn Thai massage. And I signed up for all these Thai massage courses, spent all the money, got the mat, did all the things. Ben, I couldn't do that work if you held a shotgun to my head. It was so physically demanding for my inflexible behind. And
Yeah.
I don't even sweat. I could work out in 100-degree weather and I don't sweat, man. And I was trying to practice these Thai sessions and I was just pouring sweat.
Wow.
It didn't work for me, right?
Yeah. So I like that, trying to figure out what works best for you. So if, you know, whatever you're doing is too physical for you, look at maybe um, what is it, lymph drainage work or some reflexology or some energy work or some other approach to massage and body work that's less demanding on your body.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
there's
a reality as people get older. I've seen massage therapists who have the arthritis and can't do much. So they have to look at what are my other options.
Yeah, so I think that's anything else in that category?
I think we hit a lot of good things in that category. Should we look at the next one, financial burnout?
Financial burnout.
What kind of
Wow.
what kind of preventions can you suggest for helping to keep financial burnout at bay?
Well, let's say, I don't know, let's say if you're in the beginning of your career and you're looking to start your own business, everything we've talked about, hire a business coach,
Yeah.
talk to an accountant, look at your numbers, look at all your costs, stuff going in, stuff going out, and make sure that you charge accordingly. And then when you go forward into your career, how often, Ben, do you reevaluate your rates and the cost of doing business?
Yeah, I reevaluate about every 6 months ish to a year, somewhere around there.
I'm probably about the same. And I know for my brain, I know I don't know about you, but it's almost like the voice in my head starts talking to me and says, man, I'm not feeling good anymore about what I'm charging. It's time to raise my price a little bit, right? You want to start to, all of a sudden, and that's not maybe every 6 months, but maybe every year you can kind of feel that it's time to, go up a little bit, increase your value for what you feel that you're worth.
Yeah, and there's all different kinds to evaluate that. I heard one time if your books are full, if you're booked out for say, let's say 3 months, you double your price, which I know sounds crazy, but you double your price. That way you only have to work on half of what you were working on to
Sure.
make the same amount of money, which I mean, I think about doing that for myself and it scares the bejesus out of me, but also I'm like, that's kind of smart because
Right.
you're going to lose a lot of people if you double your price. They're going to be like, oh, I'm
Sure.
out of here. Some of them might come back, but you also get new people that are like, I have been waiting a year and a half to get in to see you, Nate. Now I can
Right.
see you. And the price, they don't care about the price.
Yeah. They definitely don't care about the price. And it gets to that point, it gets to that point that, man, if you've built up your clientele and the word is out there, I'm not saying get crazy and start charging, $1,000 a session or anything like that, but, charge what you believe that you're worth. And, being a business owner, Ben, you own your own business. I own my own business. And I'm not, man, I am a business person because I own a business, but I'm not a numbers guy, so it's stuff that it's taken me a long time to learn. And there's laundry. There's whatever you use as a lubricant for your clients, your oils and your creams. There's miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Rent,
a lot rent,
supplies, utilities, all that
electric
stuff.
bill, how much, it's getting cold here in Connecticut, Ben. So the heat went on this month. So that's going to be for the next 6 months. Now I've got a heat bill half the year that I've got to budget for. We won't get into this because it's, we're not going to talk politics, but man, the cost of living has gone up like crazy over the past few years.
Yeah, that's interesting because I heard that small businesses are the slowest to adjust to cost of living changes.
Yeah, we
And
sure are.
also, as people who want to help in general, massage therapists, we want to help. So saying no doesn't come easy to us. And then the ability to separate emotion from facts and figures in order to set a price. You need to be able to separate emotion from everything else in order to set your price. And so having a
Yeah,
coach, having someone to help you separate yourself from that can be helpful.
right. Definitely. Yeah, just make sure that you look at all that stuff. And, like Ben said, reevaluate your numbers. Sometimes I'll just run through some of my statements and I'll be like, "Oh man, I've been spending money on that. Like how did that even happen?" And a lot of stuff can kind of go by the wayside that you realize that you're spending money on. And there's also the possibility of having a space that somebody could rent share, maybe use your room on the nights and weekends. Maybe you have an extra treatment room to offset some of those costs, which can be helpful too.
Yeah, so diversifying your income streams, looking for different ways of income that don't relate directly to hands-on stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
like starting a podcast.
Ben,
I mean, we're raking in the money on this podcast, aren't we?
Ben, don't want to share this publicly, but I've bought two boats since you and I joined forces.
Are they Fisher Price boats?
Yes. Yep. That I got at Goodwill.
Nice. Yeah. One of the things that I do is just made me, I don't know why the boat made me think of that, but not only I have a budget, but I also budget for how many people I want to see in a month.
Yeah.
And so I also know if I'm taking, I don't budget, say, I don't know, let's just say I want to work on 10 people a week. So that's 40 people a month. It just makes it easy.
Yeah.
You can't really you can't budget those 4 weeks every month because you've got Christmas, Thanksgiving. So you have to take that out of your income and budget on that. So you have to make sure that you are looking at, when and when you're not going to work to in order to budget for time off.
Right.
So I know I'm taking off for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to work a little bit more in October or September, or maybe just work a couple more each month in order to make up for that time I'm taking off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you got to save for a rainy day. You got to have that little savings account that you drop, $20 in every day and let that add up so that, when you take the day off, we don't get paid holidays. We don't get paid sick time. We don't get paid anything. It's like my accountant once said to me, when I was going through divorce, he's like, well, Hazardville Wellness only exists when you walk in the door. So, you
Yeah.
have to, you have to save for all that stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned accountant. I use QuickBooks, and that helps me kind of keep on track with what I'm doing month to month, so I can look at what I'm doing this year, what I did last year, and just kind of keep me in check for where I want to be.
So those are some great tips, buddy. And again, as always, every time you and I get together, I keep saying, I wish I had somebody telling me this 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I think financial burnout is probably one of the most prevalent because I can remember when I was starting out. I mean, I was not making very much money, and I was wondering how am I going to make this work.
Yeah. And then, and with that, let's say all of a sudden you get to a point in your career where you're making really good money and all of a sudden you're comfortable and your tax bracket changes. And now you've got to plan for all that kind of stuff. And it's a great place to be. It can be a great place to be as a massage therapist, but it also creates a whole nother type of financial planning.
Yeah, which is all the more reason to see your financial advisor, your tax professional, all those guys. They're your financial coaches.
They sure are. All right, buddy. What else you got?
I mean, that's kind of those are the big ones that I had for financial health. Do you have
Okay.
any that we didn't talk about?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
So we have
Well
physical,
then,
we have financial.
the last one is I put in there like emotional and spiritual, which is kind of different, and there's a couple different ways we could kind of define that. But I think it's, how much do you like your job? That could be one way to define it because that can happen. How much do you like your job, and what's your purpose? If you kind of lose your purpose along the way, that can, that I would file that under the emotional and spiritual well-being of your potential burnout.
Yeah, and it goes back to, kind of what we said earlier. We talked about the whole idea of like who's taking care of us. And it's a pretty interesting thing that emotional and spiritual part, which is I think this is a good topic. There was a period of my life where I, was a touring musician, right? And one of my favorite gigs that we did every summer was we went and played this club out on Nantucket Island, and it was like our like Super Bowl job of the summer. 3 or 4 nights, 4 weekends over the summer. It's an island, so people go to this island and they think there's no rules because it's an island. And we were like total rock stars playing to like 600 people, like people that thought we were like, like Third Eye Blind or something, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like so awesome. I mean, for 3 nights in a row, you just felt like a absolute, like it was the closest I ever came to like being like a rock star. And then you would come home and it was back to your other life Monday, Tuesday morning. And the emotional dips that I would have, for like the next week, because you go from like cheering, screaming, you're the center of attention. And in the massage world, right, I think that happens a lot too. That, we're helping people all week that tell us, people are telling you, Ben, man, you've just helped me out so much. I can't believe like I can walk better, I can spend more time with my kid, I can do all this stuff. And you're getting all those praises all day and all week and all month. And then, sometimes you go home and right, things get a little quiet. And how do you manage that? The seminar business is kind of like the same way, going on the road and, it's like the same thing, you're in a room full of people that are, excited to learn from you and saying all these real nice things. And then things get a little quiet. And how do you sort of, you know, deal with that?
Yeah, that's interesting. So is it the way I think about it is, are we think of yourself as a young child and you create this awesome finger painting and you go to show it to mom and mom is like, "Oh, that's wonderful, sweetheart. Let's put it on the fridge."
Yep.
So then, are we doing these things to impress others, or is there a purpose behind what we do? What is our deeper purpose? I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of massage therapists get into the profession because they want to help people, and that's noble. But there
Sure.
has, like you said, there has to be something for you. Who's taking care of you? You got to take care of you. What is your overall purpose for doing what you do? Like, what do you get out of it?
Everybody says the same thing. I love to help people. But you're right. Your purpose has to be deeper than that. Because at the end of the day, if your purpose is to just help people and you're not helping yourself, and we've already talked about it, exercise, eating healthy, having family and friends that you can talk to, or having outlets that you can talk to. Maybe you are religious, maybe you have a spiritual part of you that fulfills you that way, right? But there also has to be like something else.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this for the last year, and you know, my purpose is no longer to help people. I mean, I do help people, but
Mhm.
that's not my purpose. I want to. I mean, it's deeper than that.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I've never really verbalized it. I've always just it's something that's in my head. So sometimes I think in pictures, sometimes I think in words. But uh, really, my purpose is to enjoy the work that I do
Yeah.
and to learn more about how I can apply the work. And to me, that's what gives me that sparkle in my eye. It's like, yes, I want to learn more about the vagus nerve, or I want to learn more about splanchnic nerves, or I want to learn more about cleal nerves. And now I know about all these nerves, and then I can take that and apply it with somebody. And to me, that's my purpose. Like it just gets me going. Whether someone is on the table or not is irrelevant to me, whether they get better or not. I mean, of course I want them to get better, but my purpose personally is deeper than that.
Ben, I've been hanging with you long enough where I knew what you were going to say. And I love that. And it's an interesting thing. And I was thinking about this while you were saying that. There was a period a few years ago, three times that I came close to leaving the massage industry. The first time was 2 years into my career, and quite simply, I just didn't know what to do. I had no guidance. The internet was in its infancy. I didn't know what to do. There was nowhere to get a job. Nobody was helping me, and it was simple as that. The second time I almost left the industry was, when the internet was exploding, and all of a sudden I stumbled upon a Facebook group called Skeptical Massage Therapists that basically started saying that everything that we're doing isn't real and isn't true. And I probably stayed on that website for about 17 days straight, drinking coffee and reading and reading and reading and crying in my soup. Yeah. And that's why I'm as white as I am now. And I was going into my room and people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't freaking know what I'm doing. I 5 days ago, I knew what I was doing and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And I felt like a fraud, but I embraced it just like you did and many of us did. I embraced it and I thought, well, it's okay. We're just going to talk about this stuff differently now. And that's okay, right? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
As I'm shaking, right? And so I embraced it. And then the third time, and which is why I also switched my purpose to basically what you just said, is that, we talked at the beginning about training people for whatever they do, whether they're desk jockey, construction worker, massage therapist. So let's say you see 20 people a week and you're doing your best work to help them with their low back pain. You're giving them something to do to keep them, whatever their goals are and whatever their purpose is. And you've given 20 people 20 things to do that week. And then you see them for their follow up 2, 3 weeks later. And out of those 20 people, one person, did their self care stuff and listened to you. And I was getting real burnt out on just people coming back and saying they weren't following through. And I actually truly, this was just a few years ago, I came really close to just, I can't do this anymore. How can I help people if they can't help themselves? And just like you sort of did, man, I changed my purpose a little bit. You know what? These people are coming to me for reasons I don't know, and that's okay. And learn how to draw that line in the sand and then just get extremely fascinated about the art of touch and what we're affecting and how we're affecting them and getting in my head about that stuff, all day too.
Yeah, a lot of this rings kind of similar to what we were talking about a couple episodes ago, and when I just exploded about imposter syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. How can I
Right.
help? That kind of thing. But and again, the thing that I tell myself is I do the best I can with what I know now,
That's
and when
right.
I know better, I'll do better.
Definitely, buddy. Definitely. And yeah, clients can burn you out and don't let them, don't, the old phrase I used to hear in massage school, the vampire thing. Yeah, don't let them do that and get to a point in your career that it's okay to say no and it's okay to just dismiss those people that are leaving your office and making you feel beat up afterwards.
That's so true. I've had to let go of so many people that just weren't the right fit for me. And like I always say, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just
Right.
means, it's just not the person I want to work with.
Yeah.
And there's probably someone out there that will fit them better.
My
So you're
my old
probably doing them a favor because if you're not into working with that person, you're probably not doing your best work either, are you?
Definitely not. And it's okay to blame yourself. I say it all the time. I'm not for everybody. It's
Mm.
totally fine.
And you say that I want to switch to another way to help with emotional, spiritual burnout. But I think one of the ways that we can cope with that is finding a community. And, you know, we have this big community of massage therapists, but finding your part of a community that you can latch onto and being able to share. And so, Nate, I think we have a community that listen to us on this show. There might
Hey,
only be five of them, but we
it's
have a
okay.
community. And I will tell you that one great community that I got introduced to was the whole myoskeletal alignment Eric Dalton community. I mean, that is, I've seen a lot of different communities in and around my past 20 plus years, and that is by far one of the best communities I've ever been a part of. And it's a great, and I love that you're a part of it. Just love it.
Yeah, it's wild, man. And we are right being massage therapists, right? We're not in big groups, we don't have like a lot of staff. Most of us don't have any staff. And you're with your clients all day, right? And in between sessions, you're doing whatever you're doing. Some days it feels like you might start licking the paint on the wall or something like that, right? Can feel that way. But, I think thanks to social media, right? Social media can help bring people together. I think these days it's maybe help pushing people apart, but that's a different
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, man, it's the I sometimes wonder if I'll say to Eric, I'm like, do you realize like the community you've created, and like the hundreds of people that interact and get together and because of this sort of unified modality. It's pretty impressive. But, outside of that, get with colleagues, man. Find colleagues in your area and hang out with them. Like our friend Trish Gilbert, right? She created a community in Texas. You and I created, we're hopefully maybe creating something like through our podcast. There's like, a couple other great podcasts out there that are, helping to reach other massage therapists. Ben, I didn't even tell you. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. I got fan mail the other day.
You're kidding me. I think this is a first for Ben
I'm
and
not,
Nate's questions.
I'm actually not kidding you. I'm going to pull it up right here. It's someone that's going to be attending our Costa Rica retreat and was asking me some questions about the Costa Rica retreat, and then finished it out with, by the way, I'm loving the Ben and Nate podcast. What a breath of fresh air.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
I
hits me
was like, that made my day.
hits me in the feels, man. That's
It hit me in the
fantastic.
feels. I'm like, people don't realize, man, like those little notes go a long way. It feels good.
We've said this in the past, but if you guys listen, let us know because sometimes it's kind of weird. Like I can't see Nate right now. I'm looking into a camera. And when I'm getting passionate about something, my hands start going. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty passionate about this a little bit. Just say hi to us. Say, hey, I listened to your last show.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
it just, it's pretty awesome to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's actually neat when I upload our shows on Spotify, which blasts it out to all the platforms, and it shows like how many plays, and it's cool. Like I'll log in like the day later, and it's like a ticker, and it
Yeah.
zings up a few, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so connecting with the community is where this all started, and
That's right.
there's so many ways to connect with the community. And then I'm just going to throw this out there, and this kind of applies to all of the things that we talked about, but it's about investing in yourself. What can you do to invest in yourself to make yourself more valuable to not only your customers and clients, but to you yourself? Because
Right.
when you take the continuing education classes, when you take time for yourself, when you do all those things, you are now more valuable to everybody, meaning that you could put a higher price tag on what you do, but also, it just makes you feel better. It helps overcome all of these burnout syndromes, physical, emotional, spiritual, all these different burnouts.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody about it either. You know, don't be afraid to get help.
Heck, talk to Nate and I, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, we'll talk to you. I talk to somebody. I call somebody, once a week, and you might know her, our good friend, the massage mentor, man.
Yeah.
We got a little phone call that we do once a week, and I ask for some help and advice on certain things, and she gives me her words of wisdom, and always absolutely amazes me. So, and that's important,
It
right?
is. I have someone that I meet with every 2 weeks, and it's just, I mean, sometimes I feel like, nah, maybe I don't need to meet, but we meet anyway, and it's
Right.
fantastic. I feel so
Yeah.
much better afterward.
Yep. That's right.
Well, what about, is there anything else you can think of to add to our list of helping with emotional, spiritual, and well-being burnout?
No, no, I think that's
Yeah.
good.
Cool. Well, maybe let's go and let's talk about a big takeaway from today. Are we ready for some of those? A big takeaway?
I'm ready. Well, I'll tell you what, Ben, I was feeling a little burnt out today and tired, but I am no longer burnt out after this episode tonight. And all good takeaways, man. I can't think of one in particular, but always check in with yourself. I think that's the big overview. Every couple months, check in with yourself, whether it's the money end, the emotional end, how's your business going, get with a colleague, do it all, do all the things, check all the boxes.
Well, I think, big takeaway from me is just that burnout happens.
Yeah,
And it's not always going to be, sunshine and rainbows and glitter and sparkles. There's
that's
going to
right.
be those days, and we all know we've been around long enough. That's just life in general.
Yep.
So, like you said, Do the things that you need to do, whatever that is for you, and reach out to someone if you're having issues. I'm sure someone out there would be more than willing to help.
And take care of yourself.
We kind of went over these burnout categories, man, in more detail than I thought we would.
I think so. So, hey, listen, if you listen to this and we just saved your career, comment below.
Or just send us a fan mail.
Send us a fan email.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
Benster. Well, hey, that was episode 28.
Yeah, this has been another episode of Ben and Nate's Questions. We ask people on the internet. Nate, tell people how they can best support what we're doing with the show.
You can Venmo Ben and Nate at Ben and Nate's Questions. We know you can't do that. How can you support us, man? Just listen to the show and keep answering and chiming in on our questions. I think that's the biggest way you can do it.
Yeah, we love the show goes so much better when we have people that interact with us and let us know your thoughts. So we love it when you share.
Hey, Ben, before we hang up tonight, anything exciting coming down the pipe?
Hey, I just heard from a little bird that Omaha, Nebraska is going to get myoskeletal alignment techniques taught by none other than Nate
We're
Fay.
coming to Omaha,
Nebraska. So if you guys are listening, because I know you are, because a lot of you live in Nebraska, tell them when it's going to be, Nate.
We're coming out to Nebraska at the end of January. I believe it's the weekend of January 25th, 26th. Double check that. It's a Saturday and Sunday. It's the last Saturday and Sunday in January. All the information is going to be on ericdalton.com, and we are going to be bringing techniques for the upper and lower body, and we're going to give a beautiful, beautiful introduction to myoskeletal alignment techniques that weekend.
And I know a lot of you in Nebraska have been asking to bring Eric Dalton's myoskeletal alignment techniques to Nebraska, and here it is.
We're coming.
Yes.
So Ben, what's an East Coaster New Englander like myself? What should I expect in Nebraska? I've never been there.
Well, in that time of year, January, you're going to need to bring your warm clothes because it's going to be cold, and there's no trees to stop the wind. So it's going to be cold and windy.
Cold and windy. But not our classroom. Our classroom will be warm.
Oh, yeah.
And educational.
Yes. I love that. Warm and educational.
What about food? What's the deal out there?
Oh, man. Midwest, man. We do the steak.
Yeah, okay.
It's on the East Coast, you got the seafood, but in the Midwest, we got, we could slaughter a cow and put it on your plate in less than 20 minutes.
Well, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can do the same thing with a lobster here. So it's really, apples and oranges, apples and apples. All right, buddy. Hey, listen, it was good to join y'all. We'll see you next time.
For episode 29 of Ben and Nate's Questions, we ask people on the internet. See you next time.
Bye-bye.